Hi there, this is a video to help you understand how to fill out your weekly key signature, scale, and chord chart in MAT. I'm trying to keep it short and to the point, but we will be going over why everything is labeled as it is and written as it is in class. There's two parts to this key signature weekly scale and chord sheet. Page 1. Here's page 1. Okay, page 2 looks like this. This is the chord part. I'm going to get to that in a separate video. Okay, first thing is to know what key you're in, and I'm doing this as if it's the key of C and relative minor A minor. Relative minor of any key, major key, is based on the 6th scale degree C. All the same notes as C, just starting on a different root and therefore a different sound. Step, I'm going to do it in sections. This is part 1. You're going to write the scale notes and the scale labels. The scale notes are self-explanatory. You can write them in any note value you want, whole notes, quarter notes, eighth notes, whatever you want. You write the entire major scale there, in this case a C major, and here you write the major pentatonic, which you'll know from our work in class that a major pentatonic is like a major scale without the 4th and 7th degrees. The labeling is just numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 for a major scale, and 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 1 for a major pentatonic. So at this point, let's pause the video, and you could go ahead and fill that in, and make sure you put in the bass clef notes as well, and then restart the video, and I'll put up the answer, and you can check your answers for this section. Okay, we're back, and there's the answer to part 1. There's your scale labels. You can put 8 and or 1 for that. And here's your pentatonic scale labels. Okay, we're back. Here's part 2. This is where we write in the chords that are derived from a major scale, and then we label them with the chord symbols, which, by the way, are the letter names, like C, D minor, etc. The letter names of the chords. And then there are the Roman numerals, 1 major, 2 minor, etc. And then finally the harmonic functions, which are up here: tonic, subdominant, dominant, and we won't be using this one yet, but later on we'll be using this 4th one, subdominant minor, as well. The chords themselves you write in by simply writing out the scale first and then stacking thirds on top of the original scale notes to create what are called triads. Right? This is me building a triad. Here's my C. I put a note that's a third above that and a third above that. This creates a root, a third, and a fifth. This interval is a fifth. So every triad has a root, a third, and a fifth. Okay? So what you do is you simply stack those up on top of all the scale degrees, and you get this result. These are the chords that result when you build up triads on top of the notes of a major scale. Not just C major, but any major scale. You get a C major chord, you get a 1 major chord, a 2 minor chord, a 3 minor chord, a 4 major chord, a 5 major, a 6 minor, and a 7 diminished. If you're not sure what the difference between a major and minor chord is, or that kind of thing, well, again, we'll go over that in class. They clearly have different sounds. Here's a major chord, and here's a minor chord. But we'll go over that. But the most important thing is to label it correctly, so we always use nothing but capital letters. And when it's a minor chord, we put a minus symbol or the letters MIN for minor, either one, after. If it's a major chord, you just put only the letter. And if it's a diminished chord, you put this little circle, which means diminished. Roman numerals are all capital. Now this may be very different from what you're used to if you've done a traditional harmony. In traditional harmony, we use small letters, a small case Roman numerals for minor. But in the contemporary harmony analysis world, we use all capital Roman numerals, and then we put the minus, the dash afterwards to indicate minor, and the circle to indicate diminished. So this is the way your labeling should look for the key of C major. Everything is there except the functions, okay? Notice I put in the bass clef, and notice that it's okay to change octaves. Okay, now let's talk about functions. Functions are descriptions of the way chords react in a key. I'm going to give you the short form now. We'll go over it more in class. Tonic function are chords that sound more stable and would be the type of chord that would you would typically end a song on this chord to make it sound final, or maybe end a phrase on one of these chords. There's 3 tonic chords. the 1 major chord, the 3 minor, and the 6 minor. Subdominant is a linking sound, a sound that's definitely not a tonic sound. It's more unstable than that, but it's got its own kind of temporary stability. It's often a place where we temporarily rest, and it's also a good linking chord. And I'll just go ahead and put up the answers here. So tonic function is a stable function, and the 1 chord is the primary tonic chord. It's the chord on which you feel most like this, most feeling of resolution. Okay, subdominant is, there's 2 subdominant chords, the 2 and the 4, but the 4 is the primary subdominant chord. And the primary dominant chord is the 5 chord. And it's the most unstable, and it makes you feel like you want to go back to 1. Okay, the rest of the chords are alternate versions of the main primary chords. Primary tonic chord, alternate tonic chord, alternate tonic chord. Primary subdominant chord, alternate subdominant chord. Primary dominant chord, alternate dominant chord. Alternate just means they fulfill that function, but they're weaker. They're weaker forms of that function. The ones that are in rectangles here are the primary ones, the strongest representatives of their function. Again, more on this during class, but at least now you know how to label them. And as soon as possible, you want to memorize this whole structure. You want to be able to play and sing these chords 3 ways. Letter names, C, D minor, E minor, etc. Roman numerals, 1 major, 2 minor, 3 minor, 4 major, etc. Memorizing that pattern as soon as you possibly can. And functions. 1 major is tonic function, 2 minor is subdominant function, 3 minor is tonic function, 4 major is subdominant function, and so on. Memorizing, playing, singing. This is what you need to do with this, in addition to writing it. For minor scale, it's the relative minor of C major, so it'll be A minor. You'll put your 7-note scale here, starting on A, down below the staff, 2 legend lines below the staff. And then you'll put your bass clef version there, and you'll put your minor pentatonic here. Now the minor pentatonic is also a 5-note scale, but the notes that are taken out of the scale are different, in the numbers anyway. Instead of being scale degrees 4 and 7, you're taking out scale degrees 2 and 6. So you could write a minor scale and then take out scale degrees 2 and 6, and you will have the correct notes for a minor pentatonic. Now, how you label them is important. Let's talk about the labels. Scale labels are doing a job for us in terms of analysis. What they're doing is they're telling us not only which scale degree it is, but how far, what kind of interval is that note from the root of the key. So when you play a minor scale, you are, for example, on the 3rd scale degree, you are no longer playing a major third, you're playing a minor third. So we have to label that differently, so check it out. Here is the correct way to label a minor scale. The 1st scale degree, of course. 2nd scale degree is a major second away from the root scale. That's root degree, the root of the scale. And that's why it's got the number 2. A whole number indicates a major interval or a perfect interval. It's a major second. It's a minor scale, but that's a major second interval. Okay, this interval is a minor third. If you counted half steps, it would be 3 half steps. And so we can't call it 3 because then we would confuse it with a major third. This is a major third. Okay, this is not the same interval. This is a minor third. So this has to be labeled differently. The way it's labeled is as a minor third, but over time we've developed a shorthand system. The shorthand system is the prefix flat. Prefix flat does not, I repeat, does not mean that this note is changed and becomes a C flat. That would be wrong. That's not the note in the scale. What the prefix flat means in this case is it means a half step less than major. So flat 3 means a third which is a half step less than major, otherwise known as a minor third. Okay? So that's what that means. Flat 3. That's why this is also called a flat 6. You notice that this is not an F flat. This is an F natural note. But the distance from A to F is a minor sixth. So this is the way we represent it, as a flat 6, and this is a flat 7, a minor 7th. Now if you want to prove that to yourself, which is a good thing to do, you get your piano out and you count the half steps. You know for a fact that a perfect fifth rather is 7 half steps. You know that a minor 6th is 8 half steps. And you know that a minor 7th is 10 half steps. Well, just get out your keyboard and count them. Go from A to F and you will see that that is in fact a minor 6th. And the term flat is just there to remind us of that fact. So this is the right way to label a minor scale. And you should sing it and play it as usual. 1, 2, you should go like 1, 2, flat 3, 4, 5, flat 6, flat 7, 1. And your pentatonic is, minor pentatonic is missing scale degrees 2 and 4. So it's 1, flat 3, 4, 5, flat 7, 1. And last but not least, we come to our final section of page 1, which is the minor key chords. They're built in the same way. You write out the scale and then you stack thirds on top of them to create triads. And then you do chord symbols, letter names, capital letter names, Roman numerals, all capital letter names, but you put minus when it's a minor and a little circle when it's diminished. And the functions are different. I'll talk about those in a minute. Here's the good news. Since this is a relative scale, it contains not only all the same notes as a C major scale, but it contains all the same chords as a C major scale. So all of your chords that you've previously labeled and that you see in your answer sheet here will be present in the minor key. Okay, let's prove that. Here's the answer key to the major chords. All right, you have a C major chord, you have a D minor chord, you have an E minor chord, you have an F major chord, etc., etc. Well, all of those chords, every single last one of them, will be in the relative minor scale. But what do you notice? Hopefully you notice that those chords, though they're present, are in different places, because this scale starts on an A minor chord. The first note of the scale is an A, so the first chord is going to be an A minor. So they're all there. The C is there, the D minor is there, the E minor, they're all there, but the scale starts on A minor, and so the order of the chords has shifted. So if you know your major scale well, you can just reconstruct your minor scale by starting on that major scale's 6th chord, and that becomes the 1 chord. Okay. Now the labelings, the way we get handle on the labeling is to know our scale labeling well. We know that our scale is 1, 2, flat 3, 4, 5, flat 6, flat 7, 1. We know that, and that's the way we label our chords. 1 minor, it's a minor chord. 2 diminished, just like the scale degree 2. But then not 3 major, but flat 3 major, just the way you said that was a flat 3. 1, 2, flat 3. Well, this is flat 3 major. It's a major chord which is a minor third away from the root of the key. This is 4 minor, this is 5 minor, this is flat 6 major, a major chord which is a minor 6th away from the root of the scale. This is G major, flat 7 major, a major chord which is a minor 7th away from the root of the scale. So that explains that labeling, that Roman numeral labeling. Very important that you get used to that. And again, play and sing everything that you write. So you should be going 1 minor, 2 diminished, flat 3 major, 4 minor, 5 minor, flat 6 major, flat 7 major, 1 minor. You should be singing that and playing it. That's the way you're really going to absorb this language. Okay, let's talk about functions. Functions are the same for the first 4 chords as they are in major. Tonic, subdominant, alternate tonic, subdominant. But the 5 chord is not dominant function. I'll explain that why in class. Flat 6 major, which we have here, has subdominant function. We'll go into that more in class, but that is a subdominant function chord. The 7 chord, flat 7 major, has an interesting function, which again I'll explain in class, so we'll just leave it blank for now. And then we have tonic function on the 1. So that gets us through all our functions for now, at least in the minor key. Answer sheet for you, page 1.